الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. All praise is due to Allah, and may Allah's peace and blessings be upon His final messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Continuing chapter of Al-Muddathir, we stopped at the verse Kalla wal Qamar. After talking about the hellfire and the angels of hellfire being 19, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then said that this is just a fitna, a trial, to see who will believe and who will disbelieve, who will mock these things and say, Ma arada Allahu bihada mathala. When mentioning the mosquitoes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran has mentioned insects. Disbelievers mocking and saying, why would the Creator mention such things? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He mentions these things, it is as a sign for us. Everything that is mentioned in the Quran is a sign, a clear sign of His ability, of His wisdom. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always does not mention something in the Quran except for a cause. And here subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He mentioned the angels of hellfire being 19. So the disbelievers, they mocked and said, 19, what is this number? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned that the hypocrites and the disbelievers will mock and they will question this, while the believers, they will increase in faith. While the believers, they will increase in faith when they hear this, because a believer, from his name, is someone who believes whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reveals to him, he believes. Sami'na wa ata'na, and obeys Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He doesn't question. He doesn't wait until I say, well, this is illogical to me. Once it makes sense. No, otherwise you're following your head. You're following your logic. You're not following the Quran and Sunnah. Some people say, well, if it makes sense to me, I will follow. If it is logical for me, I will follow. Then end of the day, you're following your logic and you're not following the Quran and Sunnah. You will take some rulings and say, well, these are illogical to me, while the others are logical, so I'll take these rulings and will leave out the other. No. A believer is someone, when he finds revelation, he says, Sami'na wa ata'na, we obey and we believe. Allah then says, swears by the moon and the night, Kalla wal Qamar wal layli idh adbar. So by the moon, and then by the night, when it descends, when it departs, and then of course when the night departs, what? The morning starts, and the morning was subhi idha asfar. And these things are repeated. So whenever you see these things, the moon, the night, and day, you remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swore by these things. On what? Innaha la ihda al-kubar. Allah Azza wa Jal referring to what? Innaha referring to what? What was mentioned before this? What was the last thing mentioned here? This context of verses. Yes? Just now, what did I talk about before starting? Huh? Okay, which is talking about hellfire. Hellfire. So the last thing mentioned is hellfire. So now, Kalla innaha referring to, again, hellfire. See the context of verses. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here, see even when you look at the translation, innaha, they refer directly, Sahih International, they directly refer to the hellfire. Indeed, the fire is of the greatest application. Innaha la ihda al-kubar. The ihda al-kubar, the greatest calamities. Okay? Nadhiran lil bashar, a warning to humanity. Well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes hellfire and talks about some of the things in hellfire. It's not just for us to read and enjoy. It's for us to contemplate and know that this is a warning from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that on the day of judgment, people will come, people will have no excuse. Everything has been revealed to them. And you've been warned. What's waiting for us in Yawm Alqeyama, on the day of judgment. So nadhira lil bashar, it's a warning for humanity. For those who want to take action. لمن شاء منكم أن يتقدم أو يتأخر. For those who want to proceed, to take action, and for those, subhanAllah, who want to stay behind. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, كُلُّ نَفْسٍ بِمَا كَسَبَتْ رَهِينَةٌ. Every soul will be retained with what it has earned of good deeds. This is something very important. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always mentioned that, look, end of the day, It's your good deeds, whatever you have done for the sake of Allah. So do not take this thing lightly. Act, worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and do as much good deeds as you can, because there's a limit, there's an end. In this dunya, it's all about how much wealth you have. It's plain and simple. In this dunya, it's all about how much money and power you have. Things will go your way. But in the akhirah, these things are irrelevant. They are worthless. In the akhirah, it's all about your good deeds, the things you have done for the sake of Allah. It could be the simple things. And usually the obligatory things, like the salah that we do, the siyam, these are the heaviest things with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, especially if the intention was there and the effort was made to perfect these acts of worship. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keeps mentioning these, the importance of good deeds, it's showing that this life is for worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And worship is not just by doing one thing, it is by obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Being good to your parents is worship. Taking care of your family is worship, if you had the intention. So you live your life for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because even if you wanted to rest in this dunya, the dunya won't let you rest. So why bother? كل نفس بما كسبت رهينة إلا أصحاب اليمين في جنات يتساءلون. Here, I don't know, is the إلا here, is it except? Everyone, his position, the hereafter will be based on his good deeds. But then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِلَّا أَصْحَابَ الْيَمِينَ. Okay, now he talks about أصحاب اليمين. Who are the أصحاب اليمين? What does it mean, أصحاب اليمين? Someone else. What? The people? Will take the book of good deeds with the right hand. Yeah? So the righteous people, صح? Yeah. Same answer. إِلَّا أَصْحَابَ الْيَمِينَ. So أصحاب اليمين will be where? Where will أصحاب اليمين? In paradise. In paradise, yeah, in paradise. Okay. So picture this. These are the people in paradise. في جنات, look, in paradise. في جنات يتساءلون. They're questioning, they're asking questions. To who? عن المجرمين, about the criminals. And then the questions are directed to the disbelievers. مَا سَلَكَكُمْ فِي سَقَرٍ. So here, picture this. The believers are in paradise. And like Ibn Kathir has mentioned, that they are in paradise and they're communicating, they're asking the people in hellfire, what got you to Saqar? What got you to hellfire? And here the people in hellfire are confessing. And when we read this, we're thinking that, they're talking, especially the people in hellfire. Whenever you see the people of hellfire, they're talking, they're not sitting down and talking. They're in continuous torment, as we said. They're probably screaming and shouting in continuous torment, and then they're answering at the same time. So you have to understand this. Hellfire, anyway, when we refer to hellfire, it's a place where there is no rest. You barely call them alive, and they're definitely not alive, and they're definitely not dead. They're in the state in between. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has written that they do not die in hellfire. The continuous punishment. So they're asked, what was it that put you into Saqar and to hellfire? قالوا لم نكن من المصلين. قالوا لم نكن من المصلين. We were not of those who prayed. Subhanallah. I will come back to this. قالوا لم نكن من المصلين ولم نكن نطعم المسكين. Nor did we used to feed the poor. Now, the people in hellfire are what? Disbelievers. Disbelievers. So why are they saying, we weren't of the people who prayed, who used to pray? What do you understand from this? Okay, I'll put it in another way. Are they accountable for prayer? As Muslims, are we accountable for prayer? Are we accountable for zakah, sadaqah? Yes. Okay, what about a disbeliever? Is he accountable for salah? No. He's accountable? How do you know? They're in front of you. Yes, they're accountable. From this verse. No, actually there's when scholars of usul fiqh, when they mention this matter, they say, okay, prayer and the obligations of Islam. Is it only for Muslims or for Muslims and disbelievers? Of course, it's for both. And the disbeliever will be accountable for these things. So he'll be punished for not believing, and he'll be punished for every single thing, for not praying, for not doing sadaqah. But if he is a disbeliever, he wants to pray, we say, no, you become a Muslim first. Belief before doing these acts of worship. Is this clear? So they're accountable for these things. So subhanAllah, they're going to be asked about every single right, these worship. قالوا لم نك من المصلين ولم نك نطعم المسكين وكنا نخوض مع الخائضين. نخوض مع الخائضين. It's like talking without thinking, just following blindly. So they hear people mocking Islam, without even thinking, they join. They find this is the trend, خلاص, we go with the flow. And this is the problem. You see so many people who are insignificant, who have absolutely no status in the akhirah, talking about matters of Islam, mocking some of the rulings of Islam. And because they're famous, you see many people saying, oh, if these famous people, celebrities are saying this, then they start following them without even thinking. And these people will be punished for that, for following blindly and just نخوض مع الخائضين. We heard people saying and mocking, خلاص, we mocked with them. It's like they didn't even think for themselves. They didn't question for themselves. وَكُنَّا نَخُوضُ مَعَ الْخَائِضِينَ. Obviously, نَخُوضُ مَعَ الْخَائِضِينَ here, it's always in a very bad context. So these people were disbelievers and mocking. So we used to mock with the people, you know. وَكُنَّا نَخُوضُ مَعَ الْخَائِضِينَ. And usually, نَخُوضُ مَعَ الْخَائِضِينَ, it is arguments without any proofs, without anything, you know, just pure arguments without any real weight proof, without any nothing to support their arguments. They're just pure disbelief. وَكُنَّا نُكَذِّبُ بِيَوْمِ الدِّينِ. Okay, here this is clear. So these are disbelievers here. حَتَّى أَتَانَ الْيَقِينَ. Okay, what did they say here? حَتَّى أَتَانَ الْيَقِينَ. What is it? What is the yaqeen here in this context? What is yaqeen in general? What is yaqeen in Arabic? Certainty, yeah? Yaqeen in Arabic, certainty, yeah? Yaqeen in Arabic. In Arabic, it's not the verse, in Arabic. Huh? The yaqeen, the word yaqeen. Okay, complete trust, complete certainty. Here, حتى أتانا اليقين. What is, in this context, what is yaqeen? Huh? Maut? Death. Okay. It is death. So death here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here is described as being yaqeen. Why? Because death is certain. Death is certain. So one of the, subhanAllah, when you think about this death is one of the most certain things in this dunya. Because we see it and it's something that it will come sooner or later, it will come. Subhanallah. حَتَّى أَتَانَ الْيَقِينَ. Until death has arrived. And in other verses, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned and called death as being yaqeen. وَاعْبُدْ رَبَّكَ حَتَّى يَأْتِيَكَ الْيَقِينَ. حَتَّى يَأْتِيَكَ الْيَقِينَ. Until death arrives. Yeah. Okay, here حَتَّى أَتَانَ الْيَقِينَ. فَمَا تَنْفَعُهُمْ شَفَاعَةُ الشَّافِعِينَ. Shafa'a, we all know what shafa'a is, yeah? Intercession. And this intercession, for it to work, Allah should allow it from the person who intercedes. So the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is needed for the person to intercede and for the other person to accept the intercession. So not everyone. So some people will be allowed to intercede, to do shafa'ah, but then they'll be say, you're not allowed to do shafa'ah for that person. So it's with the permission of Allah. So end of the day, you want, khalas, Allah's approval. Because if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you gain Allah's approval, khalas, everything, all the matters will go alhamdulillah to khair. So here, those people in that situation, فَمَا تَنْفَعُهُمْ شَفَاعَةُ الشَّافِعِينَ. The intercession of those who will intercede will not benefit these people. Why? Why will shafa'ah will not benefit these people? Any shafa'ah, even the shafa'ah of the prophets. The shafa'ah of, the prophets, they have the shafa'ah. The angels, they have shafa'ah. These people, none of these shafa'ah, none of these intercession will benefit them. Why? Huh? Yes, خلاص, because disbelievers. Yes, because they're disbelievers, خلاص. The shafa'ah will not benefit them. It benefits, that's why in some hadith, that the shafa'ah will be beneficial for those who say, La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. Those who believe and follow the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, alhamdulillah, they inshallah will get the shafa'ah. And we said there are types of shafa'ah. Some good deeds will be shafa'ah. Some people will be able to give shafa'ah. Some messengers, some angels. But without la ilaha illallah, none of this will benefit you. فَمَا تَنْفَعُهُمْ شَفَاعَةُ الشَّافِعِينَ. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes how they are with revelation. فَمَا لَهُمْ عَنِ التَّذْكِرَةِ مُعْرِضِينَ. Turning away from the revelation. How? Describing them as being wild donkeys. Fleeing from the hunter or fleeing from the lion. Yani they don't even give revelation a chance. They don't want to listen. They feel, they know that it has an effect. That's why they described it as being sihr. Sah Shaykh? They describe this as being sihr. Why? Because it has an effect on them. And this is something that they cannot deny. Yet they don't want to give it a chance. They don't. Why? Because of arrogance. You think that these people sat and read the Quran and then looked at the signs and said, it doesn't make sense. No, they had barriers in their hearts. They don't want to believe. And subhanAllah, the chapter after the Surat Alqeyama will talk about something very important on why many people don't believe. Allah described them here as being humur, mustanfira, wild donkeys running away from a lion, even not giving revelation a chance. Farrat min qaswara. Moreover, each one of them demands a sign, a separate sign for himself. The Quran is not sufficient, they're saying. بَلْ يُرِيدُ كُلُّ امْرِئٍ مِّنْهُمْ أَن يُؤْتَى صُحُفًا مُنَشَّرَةً. Each one of them wants his own Quran, wants something. And they used to come and ask for signs from the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, just like the other nations. And be careful. The other nations, they went to their prophets, they said, okay, we want a clear sign. خلاص. Of course, they didn't say this because they want to believe. They're disbelievers, but they wanted to make difficult as a mock. They mock the messenger, say, okay, you know what? Tell your God to do this for us or to do that. And what happened is that once Allah gave them this sign, once they disbelieve, they're taken by a punishment. Every single one of them. Khalas. Khalas, no excuse. But the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he did not ask. And they asked him. They wanted signs. See here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, بَلْ يُرِيدُ كُلُّ امْرِئٍ مِّنْهُمْ أَن يُؤْتَى صُحُفًا مُنَشَّرًا. You have to understand that these people, we do not say that maybe there were not enough verses of the Quran, there were not enough signs. No. Those who disbelieved will disbelieve even if the dead people come out of their graves and tell them, we saw the angels, they still will disbelieve. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned this in the Quran. Khalas, those who will disbelieve, they will disbelieve. They have no excuse. It's not that they don't have enough proofs. No. Of course, those who Islam was presented to them, but for those who never aslan got the message of Islam properly, Allah will test them again on the hereafter. You know this. Yeah, Ahlul Fatra are those who never even heard about Islam. And some scholars said those who never got a chance to get a proper Islamic message. And Islam in its true form was never presented to them. Some scholars said these people, it's up to Allah, and these people might be given another test in the hereafter. Okay? Allah Azza wa Jal does not oppress anyone. Anyone, be sure that anyone who enters hellfire, he deserves more than that. And anyone who enters paradise, alhamdulillah, it is with the mercy of Allah. Okay? كَلَّا بَلْ لَا يَخَافُونَ الْآخِرَةِ. This is what's said. They do not fear the hereafter. كَلَّا إِنَّهُ تَذْكِرَةٌ. Now referring to the Quran. فَمَنْ شَاءَ ذَكَرَهُ. Whoever wills will remember and take action. وَمَا يَذْكُرُونَ إِلَّا أَن يَشَاءَ اللَّهُ. Okay, they will not benefit except with the will of Allah. هُوَ أَهْلُ التَّقْوَى وَأَهْلُ الْمَغْفِرَةِ. Here is something I mentioned. What does taqwa mean? I want to hear it from you. What does taqwa mean? Usually when you hear people saying taqwa, what does it mean? Huh? We? Taqwa, the word taqwa. Fear and hope? Okay. This is part of taqwa, yes? Fear? You said fear? Okay. Okay. What else? Taqwa. Piety. Okay. Huh? Okay. أطيع الرسول. Okay. See, all these meanings, they have to do with taqwa. But in reality, taqwa, you see in Arabic word, ittaqa bitursihi, he sought refuge with his shield. So taqwa is to protect yourself from the danger. That's why when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, ittaqullah, fear Allah, protect yourself from Allah's torment. So all of what you said is right. Why? Piety, doing hope and fear. This is all things that we use as a shield. From what? From Allah's punishment. The right deeds, the good deeds that we do are like a shield for us that protect us from the punishment. Say, ittaqullah, fear Allah. When you say ittaqullah, put something between you and Allah's punishment, which is that shield. That shield is the good deeds that you do. So here, وَمَا يَذْكُرُونَ إِلَّا يَشَاءُ هُوَ أَهْلُ التَّقْوَى. He is, okay, worthy of fear. This is why here it says, هُوَ أَهْلُ التَّقْوَى, worthy of fear, وَأَهْلُ الْمَغْفِرَةِ, one who forgives. Okay? Now we move to Surat Alqeyama. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. We have any of the, who here, the young kids, memorize Surat Alqeyama? No? Memorized? You memorize Surat Alqeyama? What's the, recite, yalla. Now just start, recite Surat Alqeyama. The first three verses. Proper recitation. لا أقسم يلا. حسبك جزاك الله خير جزاك الله خير ما شاء الله بارك الله. Okay. لا أقسم بيوم القيامة ولا أقسم بالنفس اللوامة. Allah, this verse, these verses now, this chapter, subhanallah, pay attention because it's like a wake-up call for the sleeping heart, that heart which is dipped in heedlessness. This verse is like a hammer. This chapter is like a hammer to wake it up. Allah starts directly by the Qiyamah. لا أقسم بيوم القيامة. Allah here is swearing by the day of judgment. لا أقسم بيوم القيامة. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions the soul that will benefit from this remembrance. ولا أقسم بالنفس اللوامة. That soul which will blame its owner for the good and bad. So if it does good deeds, that soul will say to its owner, why didn't you do more good deeds? And if it sinned, that soul will say, why did you sin? You know, this is a, alhamdulillah, if a person is blessed with this soul, alhamdulillah, inshallah, he will be in something good. And usually these people are the ones who benefit. لا أقسم بيوم القيامة ولا أقسم بالنفس اللوامة. And there's another opinion, there's an opinion of Al-Hasan al-Basri who said that on the day of judgment, every soul will blame its owner. Because khalas, once they see the day of judgment, every soul will blame its owner. The righteous people, the soul will say, why didn't you do more good deeds? And those obviously, the people of hellfire, the soul will say, why did you put me in this place? You could have been with these people. You could have been of the believers. So subhanallah. And we're saying these things. It's a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's for Allah's mercy that these things, Allah is telling us what's going to happen in the hereafter. And wallah, what excuse do we have? We know what's going to happen. We know the situation that the different people will be in. Subhanallah, may Allah Azza wa Jal aids us and guides us to take action. وَلَا أُقْسِمُ بِالنَّفْسِ اللَّوَّامَةِ. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asking a question for us to contemplate. أَيَحْسَبُ الْإِنسَانُ أَلَّن نَجْمَعِ عِظَامَهُ. So, does man think that we will not be able to reassemble his bones? Yani, did he not create you in the first place? Did he not assemble your bones in the first place? Is he not able? بَلَى قَادِرِينَ عَلَىٰ أَن نُسَوِّيَ بَنَانَهُ. Here, some of the scholars, okay, the early Salaf said, بَلَا قَادِرِينَ عَلَىٰ أَن نُسَوِّيَ بَنَانَهُ. Not just are we able to proportion him and to reassemble him, but we're able to create him in a different form, to make his hands as hoofs, as some of the scholars said. So, it's not that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not able. Bala, Allah Azza wa Jal is able. Bala qadireen ala an nusawwiya bana, to recreate you. We are able to reassemble you. And we are able even to change the way that you are. Bal yurid. But end of the day, it's not that Allah is not able. No, it's not that they think this. Here, look, pay attention to this. Bal yuridul insanu liyafjur amama. This is why some people do not want to believe. لِيَفْجُرَ أَمَامَهُ. He wants to live this life the way that he desires. He doesn't want to worry about the hereafter. Why? Why? If you're going to be worrying about the hereafter, will you really be, will this dunya be your priority? No, it won't. You'll be worrying about the hereafter. The hereafter will be your priority. But for those who have, who are worried, so they say, the hereafter, you have to work. If I think about the hereafter, that means I have to do act of worship, I have to give sadaqah, I have to be cautious of what I do. Where do I get my wealth from? Is it halal or haram? How do I treat the people? I shouldn't be doing anything haram, I should not steal. This ruins the dunya for some people whose priority is this dunya. Okay? That's why some people, they do not want to believe. They don't want to even consider a hereafter so that they enjoy this dunya the way that they think that they're enjoying. Anyway, no one is going to be enjoying this dunya to the fullest. This is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that man, بَلْ يُرِيدُ الْإِنسَانِ لِيَفْجُرَ أَمَامَهُ. Subhanallah, to live his life in sin. And he doesn't care about rulings, what's halal, what's haram. He wants to follow his desire. Khalas. He wants to run free in this dunya, following his desire. But he's not free. He's end of the day, he's what? This word they say, Yakhi, live as a free man. Don't be chained by religion. Live a free man. That's incorrect, because end of the day, if you're going to be removing the chains of deen, of Islam, what chains will you be replacing it? The chains of desire. You're going to be a servant of your desires. Yeah? You're going to be a servant of your desires. So having those chains of Islam, because end of the day, we are mere servants. You're not going to be a slave of Allah, you're going to be a slave of your desires. So choose for yourself. There's no one who's free here. Okay? End of the day, if you're not going to be a slave of Allah, you're going to be a slave of your desires. بَلْ يُرِيدُ الْإِنسَانُ لِيَفْجُرَ أَمَامَهُ. See, يَسْأَلُ أَيَّانَ يَوْمُ الْقِيَامَةِ. He asked, mocking, when is the hereafter? When is that final day? And this is what some of the disbelievers used to say to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. يَسْأَلُ أَيَّانَ يَوْمُ الْقِيَامَةِ. Allah Azza wa Jal says, فَإِذَا بَرِقَ الْبَصَرُ وَخَسَفَ الْقَمَرُ وَجُمِعَ الشَّمْسُ وَالْقَمَرُ. That day, the eyes will be shocked from what they see. Okay? And the qamar, the moon darkens, and then the sun and the moon, they both join in this darkness. وَجُمِعَ الشَّمْسُ وَالْقَمَرُ. There, then, in this, subhanallah, chain of events, this, when he sees these things, man will say, يَقُولُ الْإِنسَانِ يَوْمَئِذٍ أَيْنَ الْمَفَرُ. Those verses were recited to you in the dunya, and you were told about this in the dunya, you didn't care. You wanted to live your life following your desires. The hereafter came, you saw these things with your eyes, you're shocked with what you see. Now you ask, where is the refuge? يَقُولُ الْإِنسَانُ أَيْنَ الْمَفَرُ. Where is the refuge? Where is the place that I can run away, escape from this? كَلَّا لَا وَزَرْ. خلاص. Now, there is no refuge. إِلَى رَبِّكَ يَوْمَئِذٍ الْمُسْتَقَرُ. خلاص. It's the way of Allah. Now, there you have nothing. You're just going forward. What's going to happen is going to happen. There's no escape. There's no refuge. It's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala planned. إِلَى رَبِّكَ يَوْمَئِذٍ الْمُسْتَقَرُ. Now, to make it even worse, يُنَبَّأُ الْإِنسَانُ يَوْمَئِذٍ بِمَا قَدَّمَ وَأَخَّرَ. بِمَا قَدَّمَ وَأَخَّرَ. Okay, so everyone will be informed in good deeds. But what does it mean, بما قدم وأخر. What does أخر mean? وأخر. وأخر, he said that, like the obligations that he was supposed to do, but he did not do. So he will be told, this is what you did, and these are the things that you did not do, which you were supposed to do. Another thing is, بما قدم, which are the good deeds, بما أخر, the sins. Okay? بما قدم وأخر, obviously some opinions, they say بما قدم, the first good deeds and the final good deeds, the small good deeds, the big good deeds. End of the day, he'll be informed with everything. The good deeds and sins. Okay? Small and big. بما قدم وأخر. But not only that. Not only will he be informed, there'll be a witness on him. From where? From himself. There will be a witness on mankind, from mankind himself, his own body. بل الإنسان, himself, على نفسه بصيرة. Man will be a witness against himself. How? His hands will talk. His legs will talk. His skin will talk. His eyes will talk. Well, will you run away? Okay, who knows you more than yourself? خلاص. بل الإنسان على نفسه بصيرة. شوف, ولو ألقى معاذيره. Even if he presents ألقى, he throws his excuses, subhanallah, there's no use, because then he'll be silent, and who's going to be the witness? Himself. Now, after this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the Quran. Before continuing, okay, لا تحرك به لسانك لتعجل به إن علينا جمعه وقرآنه فإذا قرأناه فاتبع قرآنه ثم إن علينا بيانه. Okay, here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying to the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, don't move your tongue with the Quran. Okay, because when the Quran used to be revealed, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam would move his lips and his tongue trying to memorize the Quran. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لا تحرك به لسانك, do not move your tongue. إن علينا جمعه وقرآنه. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala خلاص has said that upon him subhanahu wa ta'ala is the preservation of the Quran, the collection of the Quran in the chest of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and also wa Qur'ana, that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam would be reciting it the way that it was revealed. So Allah said, you don't need to worry about this. The Quran will be preserved and compiled in your chest, in your heart, collected in your heart, and then you will be reciting it exactly how Jibreel was reciting it to you. And here, فَإِذَا قَرَأْنَاهُ, here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is referring to him, but قرأناه, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where did Jibreel get the Quran from? Important. Where did Jibreel get the Quran from? From? Okay, good. From Allah. Who's from Allah? Does anyone have any other answer? From Allah, yes, it is from Allah directly. Jibreel has taken the Quran from Allah directly, and not from, I heard, because when I was teaching in some of the centers, someone said something weird, and many of the people agreed. Someone said from the Lawh al-Mahfuz. Come on, this is something wrong. Some of them said from Bayt al-Izzah. Wrong. Quran taken from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala directly, then to the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's why in the Ijazah they say taken from Shaykh all the way until Jibreel to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? So, فَإِذَا قَرَأْنَاهُ فَاتَّبِعْ قُرْآنَهُ ثُمَّ إِنَّ عَلَيْنَا بَيَانَهُ. After that, it is upon us to clarify it for you. You're going to be understanding everything. So, this means ثُمَّ إِنَّ عَلَيْنَا بَيَانَهُ. We also understand, not just was the Quran preserved, also the meanings of the Quran was also preserved. You have to understand this. Some people think preservation was only for the Quran. No. The preservation was for this whole religion. I keep on repeating this because you'll find so many people bringing up misconceptions, okay, trying to talk about the Sunnah, saying, no, the Sunnah is different. No. Our religion, all of this religion was preserved. The Quran and the Sunnah and the meanings of the Quran and Sunnah was also preserved by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What? Assigning scholars. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chooses scholars in every era to preserve the Quran and Sunnah. Okay? Why? ثُمَّ إِنَّ عَلَيْنَا بَيَانَهُ. So also the clarifying this Quran and Sunnah is upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay. Now, let's go back. now that I have explained these verses, let's go back. And this is something, yani, that, well, and many times I keep asking the same question. After Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioning the hereafter and mentioning, some of the things of the hereafter, and then mentioning the disbeliever and how mankind, himself will be witness, and then la mafar, no refuge, la wazar, no refuge, no escape. And then in between these verses, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the Quran. You get my point? You see the context here. Allah was talking about subject, and then in the middle comes the mention of the Quran. Now here, this is not tafsir. What we're going to be discussing now is tadabbur, is contemplating. The tafsir are the meanings. Khalas, we discussed the meanings. Now the tadabbur is what's behind these meanings. What do we understand from this? So here, and you have to understand the order of the verses is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not ijtihad. It's not based on opinion. This verse is in this place, this is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, okay? It's not someone, they sat and then it's an opinion. No, okay? So after mentioning these things, suddenly we have in between the mention of the Quran. Why? So look at the final verses. Okay, look, كَلَّا لَا وَزَرْ, no escape, no refuge, إِلَّا رَبِّكَ يَوْمَئِذٍ الْمُسْتَقَرْ. And then mentioning that the mankind will be informed. Mankind will be informed, and then he himself, man, will be a witness on himself. Even if he throws his excuses, there will be no use. And then suddenly we have the Quran, the mention of the Quran. What do you guys think, Or what do you think, is the benefit of this when reading? Do you find anything? Huh? Okay, look. Here Allah Azza wa Jalla is saying there is no refuge. Khalas, no escape. And then Allah Azza wa Jalla mentioning no matter what excuses. And then suddenly you have the Quran mentioned. When reading this, suddenly, subhanAllah, this is what happens sometimes when I listen to these verses. Suddenly the mention of the Quran is like, subhanAllah, this is your refuge. This is your refuge. This is your escape from this. How do you escape from this? This is your answer, following the Quran. Suddenly the mention of the Quran is in the middle so that you think, subhanAllah, yes, this is my refuge, the Quran. Okay. Now these things are not like halal, haram when we talk about this. It's like contemplating. It's based on opinion. It's based on opinion. These are the things that are left for humans, khalas, to ponder, to think. Maybe this was mentioned after this so that, for this cause or that cause. These are like, just opinion, tadabbur. Okay, there's no right or wrong, unless it goes against something in the religion. لا تحرك به لسانك لتعجل إن علينا جمعه وقرآنه فإذا قرأناه فاتبع قرآنه ثم إن علينا بيانه. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala again mentions كلا بل تحبون العاجلة وتذرون الآخرة. Look, just like when he mentioned in the earlier verses, بل يريد الإنسان ليفجر أمامه, to sin, to follow his desire. And here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, but the cause is كلا بل تحبون العاجلة. You're so attached to this immediate world that you're living, which is this dunya. You're too attached to this dunya, and that's preventing you from believing. Because some people make arguments, to not follow a God, to not follow Islam. Why? Because in themselves, they're too attached to this dunya. They do not want to think just for 1% that there is a hereafter. كلا بل تحبون العاجلة وتذرون الآخرة. And leave the hereafter. What's going to happen on the hereafter? وجوه يومئذ ناظرة إلى ربها ناظرة. Sheikh, recite كلا بل تحبون العاجلة all the way until تظن أن يفعل بها فاقرة. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. Hasbuk. Jazakallah khair. Even, mashallah, the way that he recited it, so differentiating between these two words, because many times when you pray behind some of the imams, nadira and nadira, it's the same. They pronounce it the same. That's the problem. There's a big difference between the two. It's not haram, it's yani, but reciting it precisely so that the meaning is clear. Look, wujuhu yawma'idhin nadira, nadira is from nadara, radiant. You know, they became yani, white and beautiful, radiant from something. Allah Azza wa Jal said, from something, these faces has become radiant. Why? Look at the verse after it. إِلَى رَبِّهَا نَاظِرَةٌ. Why? Because they are radiant and they became beautiful because of looking at their Lord. When they looked at their Lord, when these faces looked at Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without the veil, without any covering, this was the effect of that look, at that glance. The faces became more beautiful. This is why there's nothing compared to that. You know, in Jannah, there are many rewards. But there's one reward that there has absolutely nothing in this dunya that's even similar to it, which is looking at Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the akhirah. And Ahl Sunnah, as Ibn Al-Qayyim has mentioned, is from the belief, we believe in two things, as Ibn Al-Qayyim has mentioned. One, we prove that the people of paradise will be seeing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with their eyes. Be careful, with their eyes and not with their hearts. Some sects, they come and say, yeah, okay, fine, ila rabbiha nadira, with their hearts. They see with their hearts. What do you mean see with the hearts? The Prophet ﷺ, إِنَّكُمْ سَتَرَوْنَ رَبَّكُمْ عَيَانًا, عَيَانًا, with the eyes. Okay, and then he said, كَمَا تَرَوْنَ الْقَمَرِ لَيْلَةَ الْبَدْرِ, just like you see the moon, the full moon. Do we see the full moon with our hearts or do we see the full moon with our eyes? Who here sees full moons with their hearts? We see the full moon with our eyes. The same thing. People of paradise will be seeing Allah with their eyes and not with their hearts. This is pure Arabic. This is ABC of linguistics. So, people of paradise will be seeing Allah. So the first thing we prove, Ahl Sunnah, that we see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with our eyes. Number two, that this is the best and greatest reward they'll be getting in paradise. This is also from their belief, as Ibn Al-Qayyim has mentioned. So two things that we prove, that we'll be seeing Allah Azza wa Jalla in paradise. And number two, that seeing Allah is the greatest reward in paradise. Where is the evidence? Does anyone know the hadith? It's a hadith. Huh? Okay, yes, the hadith that at the answer وَذَلِكَ يَوْمُ الْمَزِيدِ. Yes. And it's in Sahih Muslim. I think that narration by itself, it's in, by the way, the hadith, the different hadith that mention seeing Allah, it's almost in many books, it's mutawatir. It's not even ahad, it's khalas. It's something that you just cannot, as Ibn Kathir has mentioned, you cannot deny. It's not just one hadith. It's like a lot of hadith with different narrations, all proving this. But in the hadith, Sahih Muslim, the Messenger Muhammad ﷺ, after saying, the people of paradise, after seeing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they say, the Prophet ﷺ says, فَمَا أُعْطُوا شَيْئًا أَحَبَّ إِلَيْهِ مِنَ النَّظَرِ إِلَى وَجْهِ. They were not given. Now they're in paradise. The Prophet ﷺ, they were not given anything more beloved to their hearts than seeing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So from this statement, we understand that the best reward they'll be getting in paradise is seeing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with their eyes. As I mentioned, it's not something, the light that will, the effect that will happen to these people after seeing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is one of them. They will change, they will become radiant from seeing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Their faces will benefit. They will benefit from seeing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And subhanAllah, these things, I mentioned Hassan al-Basri, I remember saying, if the worshippers were told they will not be seeing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this alone is enough for them, for their souls to leave their bodies. This is enough for their souls to leave their bodies. Meaning, this is what's giving them that push in this dunya to be patient and to worship those worshippers. That's what's keeping them strong, knowing that they'll be seeing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this alone in itself was enough for them. And from this, they were told that they will not be seeing Allah. Hassan al-Basri saying, from the sadness, their souls will be leaving their bodies. So this is how, the people of Sunnah, they don't just believe this, and they don't just say that this is the best of reward that they'll be getting in paradise, but they're holding and they're waiting for this moment. And they're doing this worship for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because they love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala so much. Imagine Musa, when he heard Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he heard Allah's voice. People don't understand who Musa is. Allah picked Musa in this dunya to speak with him directly. So he heard Allah's voice. When he heard Allah's voice, he asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to see him. From the love, from how much he loved him, he wanted to see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, seeing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is something great. This is the best and most honorable thing that will happen to you, O servant of Allah, to see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in paradise. إِلَى رَبِّهَا نَاظِرَةٌ وَوُجُوهُ يَوْمَئِذٍ بَاسِرَةٌ تَظُنُّ أَن يُفْعَلَ بِهَا فَاقِرَةٌ. Subhanallah. And some other faces, subhanallah, and from the look of the face, you can tell that they're in a very bad situation, and they know, not dhan here is certainty. They are certain that something bad is going to happen. And here faqira, something that breaks your back. Faqira from faqara al-faqarat, breaking the back. Tadhun, they're certain that something will have a calamity that will break their backs is going to happen, which is entering hellfire. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioning, that difficult and serious state that we'll be in before, this is the final destination of this dunya. The final, departure of this dunya. It's when the soul leaves the body. This is the most critical moment. For some people, it might be a make or break. Because the final moments, subhanAllah, how righteous you are in those final moments will make a big difference. The level of faith in your heart in these final moments will make the biggest difference. How you meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the state that you'll be meeting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make a big difference. Okay? But we have, since we talked about this, let's talk. But how do we know that the final moments were good or not? We do not judge just by the final moments. It depends on his whole life. Some people say, they look at the person, he died on a Friday morning. That's a good sign. Good sign. Look at his whole deeds. And I remember in Medina, some people say a person who was known for being a bad person, for being a really bad person. Okay, and it happens that he was traveling and he died in Medina. He was buried. Some people think, khalas, this is a clear sign that he's a righteous person. You know that some people who are buried in Baqi' are hypocrites. From the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, hypocrites, khalas, disbelievers, they were buried in Baqi'. That doesn't mean every single person who is buried in Baqi', that's a good sign. No. That's why I keep on mentioning. It's your good deeds. Okay? Don't look for these small things. Wallah, he died, there are tears on his eyes. Don't look at these things. It depends on the deeds of that person. Khalas. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to be judging that person. You cannot say, by the way that he died, he'll be in paradise. No, you cannot do that. Wallah, he died by doing sujood, khalas. Inshallah, akid, he's in paradise. No, you don't know that. We don't know that. Okay? Yes, these are good signs. And we hope for him paradise. But nothing is certain. It depends on his deeds, his whole life. Okay? This is important. Why do I say this? Because you know that maut al-faj'ah, sudden death, some people die in a car accident. You don't get a chance to say La ilaha illallah. Does that mean it's something bad? From what I've said, does that mean it's something bad? Who dies suddenly? Is that a bad sign? Is that a good sign? What? We cannot judge, yes? It depends on that person. And there are some athar from Aisha and Ibn Mas'ud. They used to say, if that person was a bad person, this sudden death is taking him in punishment. Ibn Mas'ud said, and Aisha radiallahu anha, is some statements that they said, sudden death for some people, this is khalas, a sign of punishment for the subhanallah, for the bad people. For those khalas, it's Allah Azza wa Jal taking them in punishment. And for the righteous people, it's relief. Because sudden death, they don't feel anything. They don't feel the sakarat of death. So it's relief. See, it depends on the person, end of the day. If he was a righteous person or not. It depends on your deeds. If your whole life you're righteous, inshallah, you'll die righteous. Okay? And if how you live your life, you're going to be dying depending on how you live your life. Okay? كلا إذا بلغت التراقي وقيل من راق. Here Allah Azza wa Jal is talking about when the soul leaves the body. At-taraqi are the collarbones here. Okay? When the soul leaves. وَقِيلَ مَنْ رَاقٍ. Okay, here there are two meanings. وَقِيلَ مَنْ رَاقٍ. The people around him say, who is going to cure him? And khalas, that's death. There is no cure. Usually people, when at their final moments, they try to find, because they're used to the dunya, everything, there's a solution for everything. But there's no solution for death. Khalas, when death comes, khalas, yani. And وَقِيلَ مَنْ رَاقٍ. And there's another opinion, is وَقِيلَ مَنْ رَاقٍ is the saying of the angels. Which angel will come for this soul? Angels of torment and punishment, or the angels of rahmah, of mercy? وَقِيلَ مَنْ رَاقٍ. Okay? طيب. وَظَنَّ أَنَّهُ الْفِرَاقِ. Now he's certain that khalas, this is the time that he's going to be leaving this dunya. وَالْتَفَّتِ السَّاقُ بِالسَّاقِ. Remember when I mentioned يَوْمَ يُكْشَفُ عَنْ سَاقٍ وَيُدْعَوْنَ إِلَى السُّجُودِ. Saq, I mentioned saq has two meanings. Saq in Arabic, the shin, and the other meaning is what? Did I say? Does anyone remember? There are two meanings for saq. Saq could be the shin, it could be something else. It's the time of difficulty, the time of extreme difficulty. As-saq here is time of calamity, time of extreme difficulty. وَالْتَفَّتِ السَّاقُ بِالسَّاقِ. Ibn Abbas and many scholars said the hardest part of dunya with the hardest part of akhirah, they combine in this moment. Why? Think about it. It is the hardest part of this dunya are the final moments. And the hardest part of akhirah is the start. Because once you know, khalas, you pass the test, alhamdulillah, what's coming is better. But once you know that, not us, when a person knows he failed the test, what's coming is worse. What's coming is worse. So that's why it's the most difficult time of dunya and the most difficult time of akhirah. وَالْتَفَّتِ السَّاقُ وَسَاقُ. When those two worlds meet, when those two difficulties meet, this is when the soul leaves the body. وَالْتَفَّتِ السَّاقُ بِالسَّاقِ. إِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ يَوْمَئِذٍ الْمَسَاقُ. To your Lord that day, خلاص, masaq, path. But subhanAllah, if a person was righteous, worshipping Allah, doing his best to seek Allah's approval, he'll be fearing his sins. He'll be fearing that he did not do enough. Then what about the disbeliever? فَلَا صَدَّقَ وَلَا صَلَّى. He did not believe and he did not pray. But instead, what's even worse, وَلَكِنْ كَذَّبَ وَتَوَلَّى. He instead has denied and turned away. Subhanallah. ثُمَّ ذَهَبَ إِلَىٰ أَهْلِهِ يَتَمَطَّى. Walking in arrogance, disbelieving, and filled with pride. أَوْلَى لَكَ فَأَوْلَى ثُمَّ أَوْلَى لَكَ فَأَوْلَى. خلاص. It is on that person that خلاص, true punishment and خلاص, woe to you and woe. It's the worst things that can happen to that person who disbelieved, was arrogant, and he turned away. He did not pray, he did not believe, he denied. And now at the time of death, that's subhanAllah, the worst situation for the worst person. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala again mentioning, saying, أَيَحْسَبُ الْإِنسَانُ أَن يُتْرَكَ سُدًى. Yani after all this, does man think that he will be left neglected? No, neglected in two things. Neglected meaning living this life without being commanded by anything. And you find these perfections in this world. You look at the stars. Even atheists, they look at the stars, they see this perfection. And you see how they're created. And they try to make up excuses. Yeah, this is by chance it happened at 0.000000001%. And they still believe in this. Instead of saying that we were created, they say, no, you see this happened by accident, and there was a 0.0000000 chance that this will happen by accident, and it happened. Instead of believing. And this is more logical to them then being clear that we were sent here for, we were created here for a cause. So do you think that we were created for no cause? That we live our lives and then we die for no cause? Of course not. And also, do you think that after death you will be neglected without a hereafter? Of course not. Both opinions are right. And neglected here are for two things. That you're not going to be neglected in this life without being commanded. And number two, you will not be neglected after death. There will be a resurrection. أَيَحْسَبُ الْإِنسَانُ أَن يُتْرَكَ سُدًى. Then reminding him, were you not a sperm drop? أَلَمْ يَكُنْ نُطْفَةً مِّن مَنِيٍّ يُمْنَى ثُمَّ كَانَ عَلَقَةً, a clot, فَخَلَقَ فَسَوَّى. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created and proportioned. Okay? فَجَعَلَ مِنْهُ الزَّوْجَيْنِ الذَّكَرَ وَالْأُنثَى. And made for him from that two mates, the male and female. أَلَيْسَ ذَلِكَ بِقَادِرٍ عَلَىٰ أَن يُحْيِيَ الْمَوْتَى. Okay, is he not able, the one who has created you from the drop to a clot, okay, to a morsel of flesh, is he not able to create you after he has created you also in the first place, to resurrect you? So it's like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is he not able to bring you back to death after creating you in the first place? SubhanAllah, there is absolutely no proof that they have. أَلَيْسَ ذَلِكَ بِقَادِرٍ عَلَىٰ أَن يُحْيِيَ الْمَوْتَى. Okay, with this we will end. Inshallah, we'll continue next week. We will start Surat Al-Insan. And then, inshallah, we'll see. Maybe we'll just stop at the end of Surat Al-Insan next week. And then the week after, we'll be talking about Al-Mursalat, and we'll be ending, inshallah, these two chapters. هذا والله أعلم وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. جزاكم الله خير.